Alrighty people, I can safely assume that there's a lot of gamers out there like myself who work long hours or have lots of other obligations and hobbies. We don't all got time to sink 100 plus hours into one game, and generally after a long day at work the last thing you want to do is break your brain playing something overly long that requires a lot of focus. I mean, well, at least I don't. I'm not you, so I'm just making assumptions based on my own experience. Maybe after dealing with brain-dead consumers and that one lady who wanted to talk with a manager that looked inexplicably like a certain British lesbian, you're ready to commit pixel genocide. But I don't know how people do it. I'm always so exhausted after work that I have the reflexes and reaction times of a dead rock, and this entire script has gone so off topic I have no clue how to connect it back to the main point, so
Censored.
We're moving on.
Someone's had a rough week.
Quiet you. Getting back on track, I've decided to list off some games that I think are good for people with limited time or who need something more relaxing. These aren't in any particular order, and I tried to keep the types of games as varied as possible. All of these games are on PC and some are multi-platform. This is also just an excuse to bang on about a bunch of games I like. Now, let's begin.
You have got to be joking, right? A long-ass JRPG is your first suggestion?
I have my reasonings, don't you worry your tiny little non-existent head about it. Atelier Sophie, The Alchemist and the Mysterious Book is a JRPG with a focus on crafting and time management. You play as Sophie, a budding alchemist who is not having the best of times at the moment. You meet Plachta, an amnesiac flying book who agrees to teach you alchemy if you help her regain her memories. So you'll complete quests, explore new areas together and find materials for your alchemy, battle monsters, and meet new friends and companions while unfolding this easy to digest story. All the mechanics from the alchemy to the battles are really well tutorialized and aren't very difficult to get the grasp of. You won't be left in the dark, and nothing is ever overly complicated or perplexing. The only part of the game that takes a bit of getting used to is the time management system, but again you will get the hang of how it all works the more you play. The average playtime clocks in at around 40 hours, but with how easy it is to learn and just how wholesome and relaxing the game is to play, you probably won't even realize how big the game is. This is a good game if you're looking for something a bit more substantial and will last for a little while, but not so complicated that you'll be still learning how to play 20 hours in. It's an enjoyable experience even if you only play it in small chunks. Now I know this is far from the only Atelier game out there, but Sophie is the only one I currently own. If you want some information on all the games, there's a link in the description to a video done by Valkyrie Aurora that covers all the Atelier games if you want some more information about the other entries in the series. It's a good watch, it's how I learned about the games. This game is the longest one I have on the list that actually has an ending, so if you're not looking for a big time sink, then the following games might be what you're looking for. I already talked about this game in my previous video.
Yeah, because it just blew up and was so popular.
You said I was the one in a mood. I still think this game fits really well here. It's a short puzzle platformer game with a grim twist and a heart-wrenching story. You play as JJ on a mission to find their best friend Emily who goes missing on the island. You quickly learn that JJ has the ability to regenerate their body after sustaining otherwise fatal injuries, and you use this to solve various puzzles, cutting off limbs, breaking your neck, and setting yourself on fire just to be able to get from point A to point B. The game has a very well done story and interesting characters that you'll grow to care about. The game is very short, clocking in at around 5 hours to beat your first time and around 9 to 10 hours to 100% complete. The game is a bit pricey for its length, but it is an experience that I would recommend to people looking for a short story to get invested in. Having said all this though, I'm putting a big disclaimer here to say that this game covers some very heavy and distressing topics, and if you're looking for something more wholesome, probably give this a pass for now. This is one of my favourite games of the year, and I really want people to give it a go. Time is an action platformer with insane amounts of collectibles and worlds to explore. This game is wholesome to a T and slaps you right across the face with all that nostalgia. Don't let the cutesy graphics fool you. This game is great for any age and can be quite challenging at times. I love this game so much. It's the first game I platinumed on PS4 and I'm replaying it on PC since that version comes with the DLC and multiplayer. There is a good difficulty curve. You begin learning how the jumps and dashes work, and by the end you're hookshotting across lava while slowing time and creating temporary platforms. You know, the usual. The bosses are really cool and some can test your skills, but the game's aesthetics and humor keep it from getting frustrating. There is a degree of freedom in how you beat levels since you have so many tools at your disposal. Did I mention this game is just freaking adorable? There's a ton of things to do and there's a variety of different gimmicks and challenges, so the game game never gets stale. You can also just mess around in the worlds to see what you can find, and with multiplayer on the PC version, you can bring a friend along for the ride. It takes about 9 hours to beat and around 15 to 20 to 100%, so it can take a few sessions to get through. But the pleasing style and flawless music make it a wholesome, enjoyable experience that is perfect for de-stressing and just having some good old-fashioned fun. There's nothing in the game that's tense, or scary, or spooky, or... Think happy thoughts, think happy thoughts, thinking happy thoughts, think happy thoughts. So, yeah, good time, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Go play now. If by some miracle of a chance you haven't heard of this game, it's a pixel graphics farming game with fishing, crafting, dungeoneering, cooking, flirting, and the magic power of vegetables. You'll grow your farm in order to earn money and partake in various activities all in the name of capitalism. There are a multitude of NPCs to interact with and romance. This game isn't as much of a time sink as it is a time vortex. You can get lost in trying to grow the perfect melon or grind monster parts in the dungeons. There is an insane amount of content packed in a charming, colourful game that takes about 30 seconds to install. You'll be able to find the parts of the game that you enjoy the most and will be rewarded for getting better at certain skills. There are also a bunch of events and small story bits that make this world feel very lived in. I can see why coming home from work to then play a game where you do farm work could be considered a bit counterintuitive, but the game is very easy and laid back, so it doesn't feel like work. You can dump a lot of time into this game and there's a lot of things to learn while never feeling overwhelming. There's also multiplayer, so you can play Farmhouse with friends. This game is just really nice to play.
Why not just recommend Minecraft while you're at it?
Because Stardew has actual structure, story, and engaging characters that keep it from becoming a mundane block-breaking simulator. Minecraft doesn't have as much of a long-term appeal. So while the game does take time to see results, the relaxing atmosphere and easy-to-learn gameplay is the perfect time killer. I'm grouping these two together since they are very similar games. Edna and Harvey the Breakout and Edna and Harvey Harvey's New Eyes are point-and-click games set in a world where normal human anatomy never existed. In the Breakout, you play as Edna, a patient in a mental hospital, and your goal is to... well... break out. I know, who would have thunk? You also have Harvey, a stuffed rabbit that talks to Edna and pretty much solidifies why Edna is in this predicament in the first place.
It's a brand spanking new authentic police badge with small parts that could be swallowed. Cool. I bet only the toughest cops get the small parts that could be swallowed.
Now, I would assume that by saying point and click, you would pretty much know what to expect, but for those of you who may be thinking, yeah, it's where you point and click at the bad guys till they don't move no more. No, it's not that. It's where you point and click at stuff and people to interact with them. You collect various items to solve complex puzzles that never have straightforward, and in these games' cases, hygienic solutions. In the sequel, Harvey's New Eyes, you play as Lily, a shy girl with an overactive imagination living in a convent. When her friend mysteriously vanishes, Lily sets out to find her while overcoming her own subconscious fears. There are some new gameplay elements like the rule breaking, but in essence it's still a point and click game with wacky puzzles to solve with sometimes fatal outcomes. Harvey's New Eyes can be a lot more challenging than the Breakout, but if I finished it without a guide, so can you. Both games are extremely funny and the comedy is just so well written. With a combined total player time of about 14 hours, you have some short games that can stir your brain fluids and make you laugh away all the stress from the daily grind.
Brain dead mother friggin' vomit munching horse fornicator.
This game feels my overly artsy game with hidden meanings, quota and just the character selection alone. Just look at all that red!
You'll never see it coming.
The Path is an eerie walking simulator with a heavy dose of exploration and surreal imagery. You play as one of 6 girls and are given 2 simple instructions: go to Grandma's house and stay on the path. So naturally, as gamers, we immediately go blindly wandering off into the wilderness. It also becomes extremely apparent that this game is kind of weird and a little bit unsettling. Okay, maybe very unsettling. The game's graphics aren't anything spectacular, but the style is very abstract. The way the game points you in certain directions using the overlays and highlighting certain objects is pretty interesting. The main goal of the game is to encounter each of the girls' wolf, as if the Red Riding Hood references weren't already hitting you over the head hard enough. Each wolf represents different things the girls have dealt with. You'll need certain characters to interact with specific objects and locations, and the game will tell you which ones you'll need. Once you encounter a wolf and go through a fever dream inside Grandma's house, you have to choose a different girl and repeat the process. You also can't choose any of the girls that have already encountered their wolf. There's also a small handful of collectibles. Okay, one major turn-off from the game is that it's very slow paced. You're not going to be speedrunning this anytime soon. But it's cheap, and despite its snail-like pacing, it's still relatively short, coming in around 3 hours to beat. This is a great game for that person who might be missing that abstract artsy game in their life. Yeah, I already made a long-ass video about this game, but it's such a good fit in this list. For the uninitiated, Monster Prom is a dating simulator with a competitive multiplayer aspect. You play through randomized events and try to seduce one of the various monsters to go to prom with you. While the multiplayer is a major selling point, you can have just as much fun solo. There is just an insane amount of events and endings to see, and the writing in this game is just fantastic. This is another game where there is no time frame for beating it. There is either short or long rounds, and it will give you estimated time on how long the rounds will be. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and I constantly come back to it to try and unlock new routes and endings. The game is a great time killer, since you could easily play a couple of short rounds in a few hours, or you can drag your friends into the mix and have a jolly good time. Until your friend, who is also going for Miranda, tells her that you don't know what a fish knife is, and now she thinks you're an uncultured swine, and your life spirals into a pit of self-loathing and hatred for all their rudeness.
Eb, calm down. You already went through this shtick in your other video.
So anyway, if you want to learn more, there's a link to my video where I go into a lot more detail about the game. This game is perfect for dating sim lovers who want to show off their overly charming charisma and have a blast while playing. Equinox is an ecosystem simulator, and I promise it's not as boring as it sounds. You need to create biomes for wildlife and plants to live in, and there is a boatload of options at your disposal. Well, okay, when you start you can make grass, and that's about it. But you'll complete tasks and gradually unlock more options, including animals. You'll need to ensure the environment is right for your animals and plants to survive, and not just die out because you've got that chickens do indeed need food. Wasn't my love and undying support enough? The game gives you a big list of tasks to do that will teach you about all the different mechanics in the game, such as what type of environment you need for certain trees and how to make purple mushrooms. While I haven't gotten to the point of having an entire forest of pink trees and golden chickens, I still love putting the time in to grow my ecosystem because it's relaxing and absolutely murders your time. This game does require an investment to see results, but the laid-back gameplay makes it very easy to get absorbed. This is a great game for you creative people out there who want to make their own fairy forest with red sheep. Lake of Voices is a short horror VN with lots of choices and amazing voice acting. You play as Kiki the Steadfast, and along with your companion Bemil, have to make the treacherous walk across the icky sticky lake that's home to the Nixie. Creatures that would just love to show you what not breathing is like. You'll meet a few other characters along the way, including the guide and Margaret, and be making a variety of choices that will determine who will survive the trek. It's very easy to bleep up and get someone killed, including yourself, so there's a lot of replay value in finding all the events and endings. This game is and its short playtime means that the writing and dialogue doesn't become mundane. Playthroughs don't take very long, so you can definitely get a few endings in one session. I restrained myself from filling this entire list with just VN, so this one's kinda special. Also, it's free! So you really don't have any excuse to not give it a go. Finding a VN that is fully voiced is rare, and this game nails the dread-inducing, hopeless and despair-filled atmosphere. So yeah, not the most happy experience, but if you're looking for a nice VN that won't take half a decade to finish and has a great spoopy feel to it, then I would definitely recommend Lake of Voices. The first tree is a very pretty walking simulator with very light platforming. You play as a mother fox on a journey to find her missing cubs while listening to the narration of a married couple talking about the husband's childhood. What? Don't give me that look. Yeah, I know, it's a weird juxtaposition, but it weaves together very well. Gameplay is simple. You walk around various areas collecting stars and doing some very simple jumping. You also need to find certain items, and don't worry about not being able to find them because the game literally lights up the sky where the items are. They're over here, you Nimrod! The biggest appeal of the game is the very pretty style and grounded story. The controls aren't the greatest, but they get the job done. The music is very soothing and this game can get very emotional. There are some absolutely breathtaking scenes, especially in later levels. Now, I don't want to go on too much about this one since it only takes about 2 hours to finish. This game is much better experience than hearing some weird guy on the internet tell you about it, so just go play it, you goof. Pretty game with good storytelling where you play as a fox, what more do you need? Okay, that's the list done. Alice, do you have any suggestions you would like to add?
Yes, I do. Arcade Spirits is a dating sim set in an arcade. The demo is currently out and this game is shaping up to be very impressive. Viscera Cleanup Detail is a great time with friends if your idea of relaxation is cleaning someone else's mess. Lastly, Donut County is a very relaxing experience with simple gameplay. I've got it on Switch but I've given it a good playthrough and really enjoyed my time with it.
Wait, how did you get onto my Switch?
Don't ask questions you aren't prepared to handle the answers to.
At the end of the day, it's up to you what games you want to spend your limited time with, but I do hope you found at least a couple of games that interested you. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Holy crap, it's done! I'll try and keep this brief, but this video was supposed to be the short one to tide me over while I worked on a bigger project, but it ended up becoming much more substantial than I had anticipated. I'm gonna take a week to just relax and settle into the new year, but I already have a bunch of video ideas written down. My biggest goal of this year is to try and grow this channel and to continue improving the quality of the videos. I hope everyone has an awesome 2019. Bye for now.